You're listening to the Beauty Beyond Bella podcast, powered by Formula Wellness.
I'm your host, Dr. Yvette Suarez, owner and medical director of Bella Excellence, a diamond-accredited anti-aging med spa in the Tampa Bay, Florida area. On this show, we explore the latest trends in health, beauty, and anti-aging medicine while celebrating the inspiring journeys and achievements of our guests. So the leader in aesthetic and wellness is Formula Wellness. You might have heard this name quite often in my other podcasts and all of my videos because they now empower Bella Excellence. So I am so excited to introduce our CEO, Michael Bennett, and having him here all the way from Texas. So he flew in to be with us, and I really wanted to kind of have him explain to you what inspired Formula Wellness.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Suarez. It's a blessing to be here. And so, the inspiration behind Formula Wellness really started in 2016. Started with our co-founders, Dr. Brian Rudman and Chrissy Rudman, where they set off on their journey, really inspired by a better way to combine two service lines that really embody the patient consumer that we're after. In the two aisles that we've created is medical aesthetics on one hand and kind of longevity medicine or comprehensive medicine on the other. And you kind of blend in concierge medicine on that as well. And their vision was to combine these two patient journeys in a unique fashion inside a four-wall retail facility where they would sign up, they would see the patient on time, they would bring the patient in to do a full diagnostic workup on their person. It's like 250 biomarkers, skin analysis, and then that patient would go away for a couple days and come back and sit with one of our providers, again, on time. And it would be about an hour interview that was full of subjective questions, objective data, and then the provider would work in partnership with the patient to create a journey for them. And that could be really a combination of multiple things. It could be hormone balance, it could be cognitive health, it could be nutrition and nutrients, and certainly not lost along the way in one of our main headlines, aesthetics. And every patient that comes and sees us has a tailor-made patient journey for them that they're able to embark on, that we help with check-ins, sometimes with our nutritionist, many times with our providers, multiple key contacts with the patient to ensure they're successful on their journey.
A lot of that sounds like all customized care. And I think in today, everyone can say that that's what they're doing, but this is truly one of the reasons I absolutely loved Formula Wellness. I think you told a little story, which again humbles us all. When you come in and you see your primary, you're not really getting that care or the comprehensive lab panel that we really need. And then when you walked into Formula Wellness, you had all of this pre-done before, and then you get there and all your information is in a big screen, and you really have to own what's on that screen now. There's no walking away and saying, I'm
Sure.
fine, I don't need to improve, but really you're inspired to get healthier.
No doubt you are. And in fact, you have no choice. But I can speak from my personal experience. I was one of the first, kind of cohorts of patients at Formula Wellness, really early 2017. I walked in just as you described. The staff stood up, they welcomed me. They asked me a ton of great questions. I went through the diagnostics that we just highlighted. But when I came back for the appointment, I'm a former athlete, so I'm a data junkie. I love to know data analytics about my functional health. And when you walk in and all of your data is on the screen, and you can go from thinking you're this to realizing you're that, with a plan that gets you up to here, with providers that care along the way, it's truly motivational. But you have this aura of inspiration around you. And I wanted, going back to one of your first questions, is what's the inspiration? I wanted to partner with this model. I wanted our patient population and beyond to be able to experience what I was so fortunate to experience, which is, how can I perform at my peak every day? My hormones were off. My sleep was off. I'm a, executive that travels 150,000 miles a year. I'm an exhausted father of three. These are challenges that are not unknown to all of our patient population. And I was able to, in one spot, learn about myself, learn about this journey, and get onto this program that has allowed me to effectively lose 20, 25 pounds, keep it off, have my hormones balanced. I sleep 7 to 8 hours a night. Except for COVID, in like 8 years, I've been sick 3 times.
Wonderful.
And I totally attribute that to the programs that Formula Wellness has helped me stay on.
So obviously you believe in all the wellness and vitamin world, and you're saying this traveling as we took out your injections for before you leave here today, right? And I'm the same as you. If I'm going to travel, I get my NAD, my glutathione, my B12, I get my IVs. I need to make sure that we stay healthy. And I think in today's world, where we have such a large amount of stress and obesity and insulin resistance and nobody taking care of themselves, we are offering a platform that really makes an impact in prevention.
For sure.
And I would love to continuously see that in our country, which I feel like we have gone backwards for quite a long time.
No, why are we treating the symptom? Like, why are we not looking at things comprehensively every day across the spectrum of care? Just because we're at a specialist and we're focused on one thing, why are we ignoring the other several hundred parts of the body? This is a comprehensive machine. So we should be thinking about things soup to nuts. Your body is one. It's not broken up into parts or medical specialties. And also, I truly feel that the patient consumer today is evolving. Patient consumers want the ability to embrace care in a retail setting. They can make an appointment online. Whether it's acute, concierge, wellness, they want to be able to be seen. That's convenient for them. You have high deductible plans that are an enormous amount of people to pay out of pocket. Another provider's office for 9:30, you'll be seen at 11:30, 12:30. Why would you not come in, use an HSA plan, potentially, use the same amount of a high deductible plan in terms of cash pay to have convenient care, seen at the time period you sign up for, you're in and out within an hour.
Gosh, we all struggle with that. I know that feeling. I complain all the time about how much I pay for health insurance, and even with my deductible and having medical issues, the amount I pay, and I still struggle to get the care I want, to get it done on time.
For sure.
Right? And to have it systematically know that it's always going to improve me, not just throwing a medication at someone. And I still, look, even as an MD, I struggle with that with my even primary care, and a lot of physicians that I see is telling them, don't throw a drug at me. I need to understand the why. I need to be able to prevent it. How can I make this better? Don't just treat my symptoms. And this is still a struggle, I think, within MDs. There's a fight going on right now, and I hope we win this battle. And I think we will in time, but it really, and I always talk about, it really hurts my feelings when a menopausal woman goes see their primary and tells them, I can't sleep, I can't focus, I feel sad. And they're put on an antidepressant and anti-anxiety drug.
No doubt.
Can we change that at Formula Wellness?
We're definitely on that journey, for sure. You know, the other side of Formula Wellness that I really have embraced, again, as an 8-year patient, and that's one of the things I think is super important, is not only do I believe in it, I drink the Kool-Aid, I go every week. Is not one time in my life has a provider ever said, hey, you feel dehydrated? You're kind of lacking this nutrients here. Have you thought about IV therapy? Come in and get X, Y, Z. I mean, the first time I had an IV, it was mind blowing to me, especially as a former cyclist, to come in before a race or after a race and feel the level of kind of like cure that this afforded me. It was game changing for me. So I've really appreciated it.
And that's, as an athlete, you take relatively good care of yourself, right? And you're just being deficient, but you have so many people now that are on the opposite, right? With a country that's 70% obese, helping them, we know they're nutritional deficient, right? And so how do we get their metabolism going? How do we get them to feel better? I almost feel like that's their way of putting their toe in and stepping on, how do I get better, right? Not everybody could be a cyclist. I can tell you, I'm not riding that bike for miles. However, what can I do, right, as a normal person that is going to continuously enhance my performance and my longevity of life?
I mean, it's really hard to come into a Formula Wellness, stand on a body composition scale, get an RMR, get your diagnostics, come back and be seen with the provider and them to review everything with you. And by the way, they're going to ask you, the first 20 minutes is going to be a ton of subjective questions. It's hard to fight the evidence that's in front of you and then to come back every week for whatever journey you're on and stand on that same scale. And oh, by the way, taking care of your daily nutrition, making sure you're hitting your protein, making sure your caloric intake is right, downsizing the amount of drinking that you may be doing as midlife adults. It's going to be really hard to look the provider in the eye and not want to do better for yourself and for your accountability buddy, which is your doctor or your provider. And so you really have no choice.
No, listen, and we all think that we do well, right? I take lots of vitamins. I'm doing my walking. I'm doing all my things that I think. And I recently had Dr. Rudman have me take a blood test and look at all my enzymes, my mitochondria, my telomeres, tell me what my true age was. And let me tell you, it was humbling. I went over there and I was like, can we review my labs? I'm not really happy. Like there were certain vitamin deficiencies that I never thought I would have. I'm like, I'm doing all the right things. How can I be deficient in these particular vitamins? And that has really changed me in the last 2 weeks. My patients laugh at me. I'm like, I'm checking my glucose. I'm looking at how much protein did I get in? Do I have the right vitamins? We don't really know unless we have this comprehensive panel. How would we?
No, you can't. And by the way, I may have heard that at the clinical advisory board because y'all were sitting right next to me during that readout and I saw some shrugs by you.
Yeah, I was a little upset.
But I mean, to that point, like, Formula Wellness, Dr. Rudman, hey, Michael, come in and get your Gallery cancer screening test. Come get your true diagnostic. Learn about the difference between your genes and epigenes. I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, oh, that's the hardware and the software and how the body operates. And here's all these findings. Yeah, my true age, not super excited about it. And I can tell you, I'm in a better place than most, and I'm still was a little taken back by it. But, I think these are the wonderful things that Formula Wellness affords the patient population is education. And the thing that I always go back to as a patient consumer of care, and you're a physician, you've done nothing but healthcare in your career. I'm 22 years in retail healthcare services. I think about going back to our previous points. The cost of care continues to go up. Again, treating a symptom to me is backwards. How do you prepare in advance? If I'm going to spend dollars on my children's care, my wife's care, myself, in a world where cost of care is this high, but I can spend cash out of my pocket that is no more than I would spend when I'm going to treat a symptom, I'm going to invest in myself for the longevity of my life, to be with my loved ones, to understand my true north and what I need to be doing. Again, I go in 52 weeks a year to ensure I'm hitting my patient pathway. I see my accountability coaches, our providers, every single week. I hold myself accountable, I hold my daughters accountable, my wife holds me accountable, and vice versa. Our family is better because of the experience at Formula Wellness, because of the education and the care and the direction this kind of comprehensive platform affords us, because of the direction they give us.
Okay, 100%. And as a mom, I totally understand that, being a breast cancer survivor, I feel like that limits my longevity of life sometimes, and having anything I could do to give me more time with my family here in this world, I'm going to do. It's not even just for me. I don't want to be selfish. This is for my family. I need to be here, right?
That's right.
The number one reason why people die is heart disease. And what do? We throw statins at people. And so I want to do something that's going to improve my longevity of life so that I can see my kids grow up and I can grow old and be a grandmother. And those are the things I look for selfishly for my life.
For sure. Well, so I'm gonna pivot a little bit. I'm gonna go to the other side of the aisle. I can tell you that I would never do neurotoxins in my life. I would never have skincare treatment. I'm certainly never going to touch lasers. But probably 2 years in my patient journey with Formula Wellness, I'm sitting in an IV chair, and one of the injectors came by, and I think Dr. Rudman or Chrissy kind of prompted them to go. And I think because my wife had told them that I had some issues up here. And they came by and were like, hey, do you want us to go ahead and take care of this? And I was on a conference call in the IV chair, and I remember like, pause, take care of what they're like, you got to hit this up here with some talks. And so I just kind of smiled, and of course my next response was, how much time does it take? And so, started neurotoxin that day, has turned into skincare regime, like 9 points at night, wake up in the morning and have a whole routine. And, I can tell you secretly on this podcast that I'm sure no one will call me out on this, but, the skincare component that Formula Wellness educates our patients on is equally as important as everything else we do. And secretly, I really enjoy it. But don't tell anybody.
There's nothing wrong with that.
No.
We have to feel great inside, look great on the outside. The way we present ourselves has a lot to do with what we feel, right? When we look in the mirror and we want to smile what we see. There's nothing more empowering when my patients look in a mirror after we get our treatment and they just feel renewed. Like, that really is so regenerative for all of us. And so whether our practices are very aesthetically heavy and we convert all of our patients into wellness, or whether you start very wellness prominent and then you start to build up into aesthetics, right? Even men want to look amazing.
No, I mean, that's it. I mean, the theme of Formula Wellness, as you know, is the pursuit of longevity inside out, which is, how do we take care of both sides of the aisle? Yes. You want to look good, feel good, look good. I mean, there's no one I know that's going to say, no, that feels bad. Like, I don't want to feel or look great. And, I think, again, today's patient consumer, convenient care, both sides of the aisle available, because again, it's the same patient consumer.
The Formula Wellness 4 cornerstones are nutrition, functional wellness, aesthetics, and brain health. These serve as a guide rail for individuals that are pursuing longevity inside and out. Formula Wellness is setting the new benchmark in preventative healthcare and aesthetics. Thank you for all of your support. To learn more, please visit www.formulawellness.com.
Most consumers that are getting, medical aesthetics are also going down the street to get wellness. So doesn't it make sense to combine these two pathways on particular patient journeys and membership programs that make sense economically, but also tailored for the patient population that we're trying to serve?
Hence your 4 pillars, right? So let's talk about your 4 pillars. So we always talk about aesthetics, wellness, nutrition, and brain performance, which I think has a lot to do with mental wellness in today's world. So those are really big 4 pillars that are really huge in this market that you're now have combined them all into one amazing company. That's
right. And, got to give a lot of credit to Dr. Rudman, Christy Rudman, our operating partners that have come on and helped guide our patient journeys, as well as obviously inform our 4 pillars. So, obviously aesthetics is a primary. All of our patient population is looking for neurotoxins, lasers.
Little quick fix.
Yeah, that's right. You mean filler, you name it. And then, you kind of move into this, this comprehensive view. And it really starts with hormone balance. If your hormones are off, there's such a snowball effect that you could describe by far way better than I can. But, I experienced it directly. And then, that kind of blends into, well, if X hormone is off, Y hormone is off, your sleep is off, your cognitive function is going to be impeded. So how do you offset that? Well, we have at Formula Wellness, again, the hormone component is going to be one of our primaries. We're going to address that. We're going to look at your cognitive health through our brain performance program that we've released formally this year that we're super excited about. And then obviously, to kind of feed everything is your nutrition and your nutrients, which is our metabolic body program. So you bring all that together, you're executing on these four pillars, and effectively you are solving for a 360-degree kind of comprehensive plan for the patient. But again, I just want to make sure we're all on the same page. Yes, these may be kind of our 4 cornerstones. They may be what we are promoting to the public. But there is a variety of options of a la carte services that are available at Formula Wellness. You don't just have to come in and get on an aesthetic membership to have the benefit of some of the nation's top injectors. You don't have to be on a brain performance program to come in and get the benefit of an IV. We have a variety of things available that are made available to our patient population, but we also have programs we can create in a form of membership that meets their economic need, but also is helping them achieve the objectives of their specific journey. And one of the questions I always get is, like, okay, so I come in and I do all this diagnostic stuff, and I may or may not get on my skincare, or I come and get skincare and then this diagnostic stuff. How do I stay on my journey? Like, talk to me about these like weekly check-ins, these monthly meetings with our nutritionist. What about like meeting with providers? Like, how do I stay kind of in tune? And there's a variety of ways to answer that, but I think if we zip up and say, let's just walk through a journey. Again, come in for diagnostic workup. Traditional diagnostic workup, we're going to look at, we're going to do a full diagnostics on your skin. We're going to give you your age of your skin. We're going to give you opportunities for your skin. We're going to do a 250 biomarker diagnostic test. You're going to come back. And we're going to, again, and I don't mean to be redundant, but I think it's really important. We're going to sit with you as an individual, and we're going to ask you a ton of questions. And they're going to get pretty deep on the questions we're asking. And then we're going to pull all this data together, cast it on a big screen, and then we're literally going to put together, piece by piece, a plan for you. Okay, so then let's just say that's like 3 memberships, it's 2 memberships, it's 1 membership, it's 1 membership with a bunch of a la carte stuff. So again, we're going to tailor it to what is right for that patient. We shake your hand, we walk you to the front, concierge checkout, you're off to the races. Okay, what happens next? Well, depending on the membership, most of the time you're going to come back every week or once a month. When you come back, you're going to meet with a provider. You're going to see our RNs. You're probably going to have weekly or monthly meetings with our nutritionist. You have the option available to you at all times to text, phone call, engage. You just have to be the person to trigger it. We're going to engage with you as well. And so we don't want you to get lost on this critical journey. I think that's something that is really helpful for our patient population. And, by the way, once a patient joins a membership program, there's like a 90% annual stickiness with us and them. It's probably higher than that. That's significant.
No, that's very significant. And you see that in both the aesthetic and wellness world. And even when patients come in, let's say for an aesthetic procedure, right? When we're doing that consultation, like you said, we have to plan out their journey. What do you need today? What do you need in 1 month, in 3 months, in 1 year? How do we continuously do that, right? We didn't age overnight. We're not going to reverse all your aging in one time. And that's the same thing with wellness. We can't make you well overnight. This is a process, and it takes a lot of hand-holding and a lot from both sides of the aisle to come together and empower our patients to do that, which then means that you need a lot of staffing and a lot of wonderful partners. So I'm going to ask you, how do you find partners, and what are you looking for them when they want to join Formula Wellness?
That's a really good question.
It is.
Really good question. Well, first and foremost, let me just start by thanking all of our great operating partners. We are beyond blessed at Formula Wellness to have some of the most premier medical aesthetic and wellness practices in the country. And I don't say that lightly. I am beyond impressed at every turn, at every clinical advisory board meeting, the ability to engage with the clinical acumen that we have sitting around that table, and even the providers that are not a part of the clinical advisory board or our committees. It's incredibly impressive, and I'm humbled every room I walk into, and I'm reminded that I'm definitely not a provider. So what do we look for first? And you know this, we look for culture. Our very first interaction with our operating partners or our potential partners, it's all about culture. It's about who is sitting across the table from us, equally as who's sitting across the table for them. And we want to talk about the tenure of your practice. We want to talk about the tenure of your team members. We want to hear from the seller partner, our potential partner, about their belief in the individuals that made them be successful. And one of the things that our partners may not know, although we try to share it, and any potential partners out there, if the seller, the potential partner of Formula Wellness, doesn't ask about their team, we won't have a second meeting.
I love that. I did not know that.
Yeah. So it's super, super important to us that the seller partner, again, our potential partner, has their team, their staff top of mind. The other thing that, I won't go into a lot of detail on this, but is super important is we want the team members to feel this potential transaction on a relative basis in the excitement as much as the seller partner. And so that's super critical. So culture all the way through, and trying to make sure that we're a good fit. And by the way, we're trying to make sure they're a great fit, because after the ultimately the transaction happens, the partnership is solidified. We're off to the races together, and so we've got to see things eye to eye and be able to run together. And there's a lot of exciting things that happen after that. So culture is number one. The other component there, and I think these things happen sequentially, is credibility. They've got to find credibility in us, right? And we've got to find credibility in them. And I like to think about this as clinical credibility and patient experience. And I don't think you can have one without the other, right? I mean, a patient can have a wonderful experience in the facility, but if the clinical outcome isn't satisfactory, no matter how great that experience is, the credibility is going to be diminished. And so we like to investigate in our process of partnership the credibility of the practice, and we encourage the potential seller or the seller and our potential partner to investigate our credibility with our other partners. And so we think about clinical credibility, which is going to be patient outcomes. We think about patient experience, which is going to be patient experience scores. And then finally, the last thing we like to talk a lot about is growth. And when I sit here as a CEO, which I'm lucky enough to serve in that chair, I'm not talking about growth of the business. I'm talking about growth of the individual team members. And so we have HR programs, clinical programs, continuing medical education programs. We have stair-step roles in the organization to where we can talk about growth of the team. So if we take a step back, it's culture, it's credibility, and it's growth, trying to wrap that all into a potential process where we're mutually engaging as potential partners. And those are the things that I think are really important to us and what we look for. I know we saw those certainly in you, and we're beyond excited to have you join the team. So.
Well, thank you. So it's funny, when I look at the two things that I think about the most, and that would be culture and excellence, right? And I think that piggybacks a lot of what you're saying. The culture for me is to make sure that we believe in the same concept, that we believed in staff and patients first, right? Everything that we can do to make them have this amazing experience. I always tell people that Bella was my third child, and I spent a lot more time with Bella than my own family. So I needed to make sure that she was protected all the way, right? That she was coddled and allowed to grow, and allow the whole team to continuously feel respected, which I think everybody's done a great job. And then excellence. I mean, there's a reason why we're called Bella Excellence, right? But we really believe in Forma that we give the best treatments we can for our patients, that we continuously educate ourselves. And I know you guys are really big in CMEs. We need to push the envelope. We need to be the best of the best. And I am privileged, for those who do not know, I've now been part of Formula Wellness for almost a year. And one of the things that I have loved the most is to be involved with a team filled with boss ladies. Okay, we might have some boss men here, and other than Dr. Rudman, we are a powerful bunch of women that get together on these committees and make decisions of how we're going to grow in this industry, how we're going to make our patient experience the best. And so I am honored to be amongst all these brilliant human beings to help me grow further.
No doubt. And by the way, you're spot on. I'm voluntold a lot, by the way. So But no, I mean, to your point, the clinical acumen, the providers that we have around the table are phenomenal. Our physician leaders, our provider leaders are, again, like, I'm so humbled to be able to sit around the table and just learn. That does kind of dovetail into, the why, like how did that all come together, right? So when, this platform that is called Formula Wellness initiated, Dr. Rudman and I got together and we created, instead of strategic initiatives of the business, we like to call them most important things, or MITs. And the very first MIT that we put in place was the formation of the Clinical Advisory Board. And the question typically is why? Why would you have a Clinical Advisory Board? Well, yes, we have business people here that help make financial decisions for the organization, but we are a physician practice management group. We are clinically led, culture driven, meaning clinically led. We need our clinicians to make clinical decisions, to create clinical protocols, to help put those into ground that allows our clinical operations and our operation team to support those protocols as efficiently as possible. We're not perfect by any means. We're still learning every day. That learning every day, that 1% every day, is going to make us better, substantially better over time. But the bigger component of that is we are guided by the clinical acumen of a 9-person board with 2 subcommittees, one aesthetics and one wellness, that inform the organization how we need to perform clinically, that is informative to how we lift up clinical operations and operations. That is, to me, you can't have business people pushing the envelope of clinical science. It has to be the opposite. And I've been fortunate enough to be in this side of the aisle, this side of healthcare for a long time, and I've seen organizations start and fail where they put business first versus clinical and patient experience.
Look, and that is so important as a clinician. And I will tell you, I love sitting on the CAB or the Clinical Advisory Board. I actually lead the wellness with Dr. Julie Shelley, who's amazing. And we chose this because we really want to make an impact. And we give you grief, right? We're all this this great family of business and clinicians, right? And how do we come together? What's going to give best for the business, but also what's going to give us the best experience for our patients? And I love that. And I love that you're very open to our opinions, that you're going to listen to us, because we're all very opinionated boss ladies. And so we have a lot to say. And it's been a very thoughtful process. And I really thank you for that. And I really enjoy. And I so look forward to what the future brings. And so do you have a little insight of what is this year going to look like for 2025?
Yeah, great question. Absolutely. So, kind of beyond, the evolution of the Clinical Advisory Board, our committees, and kind of onto the broader business itself. We started with, 5 locations. We're able to grow quickly to right around 20 locations. We've just brought on another wonderful partner up in the Northeast, and we're actually talking with 4 or 5 other partners up in the Northeast right now, so super excited about that. But I'd expect us to end the year somewhere between 30 and 35 locations. As you know, we've got a National Training Institute in Houston, Texas. I think we're going to see some substantial investment in that, hopefully over the term of 2025. I think we'll continue to see some iterations in the Clinical Advisory Board with some new product introductions, which I'm super excited about. Additionally, I think we will have some more provider meetings in Dallas, which I'm really excited about as well. But at the end of the day, I think, into this year, I think we'll finish again 30, 35 locations. We'll be probably close to about 275 team members, maybe 300 strong. I think we'll have a National Training Institute in ground. We'll have probably over 50 to 75 providers satisfy their clinical medical education this year, which I'm pretty excited about. As you know, every provider gets clinical CME credit dollars that they're able to use. And I'm expecting this to be another just wonderful year for the organization.
No, and look, and that has become so impactful. And normally when we end this, I normally have to ask our main question, which is going to be, what does beauty mean to you? And I think, you've kind of already talked a little bit about that on here with your journey from both the Botox to your IV therapy. But if you had to give me a quick little phrase, what would that be?
What would beauty mean to me? I mean, this right here. I mean, what we're doing together, what we're doing as a broader group, what we're able to do as an executive team, as partners in a platform, and the way we're able to execute, both when we have challenges in front of us, opportunities and solution for those. I mean, to me, that harmony, that's a thing of beauty. Because it's hard.
Yes.
But we're doing a great job.
Thank you. Well, as you know, now you met my family, Formula Wellness, and we're welcoming Michael Bennett. There'll be a lot more conversations and more growth in the future. Thank you for listening.